it wasn't allowing me to see my close rate because I wasn't able to
Yes.
see every meeting in there as a deal or an opportunity in my CRM. And so for a long time I didn't really know what my close rate was, and there's just stupidity on my part. Now I have everything automatically. It's automated where someone sets up in a meeting with me, it automatically creates a deal and it says like appointment
Beautiful.
scheduled or whatever. So I think you totally retrain my brain, and this system that
Yes.
you created for me and for my business was a really fast, effective way to get from A to B. And you created it, you made it so easy so that I just basically could follow step by step. You helped me really drive a steady system of flow of clients. So I basically get anywhere between 2 to 3 meetings per week. I don't think I'd be where I'm at in my business if it wasn't for you, Diego, and
Wow.
for your expertise, your guidance.
James, real talk, I've been seeing you everywhere. I popped open LinkedIn and like you're on there, you're in video, obviously on podcast stuff. What's something that you're working on right now that you're excited about?
I'm just continuing to build and grow my business and bringing on new clients. And thanks to you, I mean, I don't think I'd be where I'm at in my business if it wasn't for you, Diego, and
Wow.
for your expertise, your guidance, your ability to narrow in on what parts of my business really needed to be solved for. And really you take it step by step, I think, because there's so much complexity when you're running when you're running a business, when you're an entrepreneur. And the problem with complexity is it just doesn't scale, right? I think that's for obvious reasons when you're in the weeds on something and you're trying to figure something out and you're testing out a million different things. And I think what you bring, Diego, is the ability to give someone a system and a process specifically around sales and getting business. And also I what I love about you is I think you use the phrase you're a service designer in a way, because I never even heard of that or thought about that. You hear product designers, but really what I am is a service business, and you're able to help me figure out everything from my offer and create clarity around the offer to the system that I'm going to use to deliver that offer and to sell people. Because I never considered myself a salesperson. I was always on the marketing side, so that really helped me, and you helped really train me to become a salesperson too.
Thank you so much for saying that, James. That means a ton to me. And then also, I love that you called out two of my favorite parts of that. I do see sales as a process, but hearing someone even being as close as you can possibly get to sales, which is marketing, right? The
Mm-hmm.
difference between marketing and sales. So I think a lot of folks sometimes glob that together into one bucket. So let me ask you,
Yeah.
how do you, where's the line between like where you see the difference between marketing and sales?
Great question. Because I spent my last corporate job, I was at Forbes for close to 10 years. Actually, I think it was like 9 years and 10 months, and I was on the marketing team, but we worked so closely with sales. We really, in a way, were kind of like sales enablement, and that's what marketing really is. It enables sales. It helps make sales easier and helps the sellers. But I think that there's so much crossover. I mean, we were in many different sales calls and meetings together. We were kind of in a way on the same team, marketing and sales. But the difference, I think the big difference is I wasn't customer facing. I wasn't the one actually making the offer or making the if you want to use the word soliciting or asking for business, right? I was putting together the sales materials and the decks and the proposals and coming up with ideas and how we could kind of package the offer. But I wasn't necessarily actually selling, and I didn't have a quota. And so being an entrepreneur and being the face of the business and having to be the salesperson was a huge shift for me, and it was challenging. It was really challenging, but I think that's what you helped me to redefine myself and actually change my entire change the way that I thought of myself. Now I do actually think of myself as a salesperson, and I have so much more confidence when I'm actually selling to people. So thank you
Wow,
for that.
man. No, thank you for sharing. And then also, I love that kind of we have like these opposite experiences where I find that I was maybe a little bit closer to the sales world and then later had to grow into understanding marketing. So I saw what you saw backward,
Yeah.
if that makes sense. Real quick, how do we connect? I think our story of how we got started is kind of
We can
interesting. Yeah.
we connected on LinkedIn originally. I'm trying to remember the name of the guy. He was from Utah. There was a marketing guy out in Utah, and I think I commented on one of his posts. I got to look up what his name was because I'm still in his LinkedIn network. I feel bad that I forgot his name. I think
Ian.
it was Ian. That's what it was, Ian.
Yeah.
Uh, so he was just commenting on one of your posts, and that's really the way LinkedIn works. It's just that network effect where you see someone in maybe in your network or someone that's in your secondary network or whatever, and I commented, but I saw your video and I watched you. I think it was your Loom video, and I was just literally sold from the beginning because the way that you described just basically a system to close deals and to get customers. I mean, that was what I needed at that particular moment in time. And I think the system that
Yes.
you created for me and for my business was a really fast, effective way to get from A to B. And you created it. You made it so easy so that I just basically could follow step by step. This is how you do the DMs. This is how you do some of the automation and all the things along the way was laid out for me. Complexity doesn't scale, and what we're really as a business owner, what we're really trying to do is find the most effective, efficient ways to do things consistently, and that's what I think you provide with your whole system. So that's how I
Thanks for
describe
saying that.
what you
And
provide.
with that, James, you've mentioned your business a few times in there.
Mhm.
We got to give people a quick snapshot. So let's hear a little bit about. I see the sign behind you, Wonderfish. So tell
Yeah.
us, what does Wonderfish do? Let's just start there.
So we are at our core, Wonderfish is a podcast booking agency. That's how I would describe it. I mean, you use the phrase the must be the mustard is I'm probably butchering it. How do you like to phrase it?
No, you nailed it.
It's
Yeah.
like
What's your
yeah,
mustard offer, right? Something recognizable.
yeah,
So podcast booking.
recognizable, and a recognizable term in this industry is podcast booking agency. We basically do everything from the all along the process of the guest booking experience. We get you booked. We do all the research to analyze the right shows because that's one of the biggest problems that we're solving is that there's so many podcasts out there. There's close to I think 400 to 500,000 active podcasts within the past couple of 30 to 60 days, meaning they've published an episode. And then there's 3 to 4 million that are just out there that haven't been active because that's one of the problems in the space is it's hard to be consistent as a podcast host, and people,
Mhm.
I think 90% don't get past the third episode. So what we do is we identify the
Wow.
right shows that are active, that are topically relevant for our clients, and are getting enough reach and engagement within their particular ICP or audience. So my target audience, my ICP tends to be smaller founders with 10 to 50 roughly employees, CEOs, and founders that have a lot of expertise, but also coaches, consultants, authors. And these are individuals that they need a system. So I'm basically giving them kind of like you do, but I'm giving them a system for podcast guesting that
Mhm.
creates just an easy way where they just show up. I do all the back end work as far as like I said, the research, the preparation work prior to each episode that they're going on, and then content creation after, so video clipping, so that they can go and share it and it can have legs beyond that conversation. We are doing well. I think you helped me really drive a steady system of flow of clients. So I basically get anywhere between 2 to 3 meetings per week, and my close rate is around 25% roughly. And so at any given point in time, I'm somewhere between seven or eight clients. I'm looking to pick that up, but to be honest, I haven't been super aggressive. I think 7 or 8 is like what I can handle right now, and I think I could ramp up the exact system that you designed for me. I think I can double it, like if I just had an extra salesperson or besides myself, someone helping me on that end. So
Amazing. That's a great constraint to have. Let me ask you,
Mhm.
you kind of mentioned the 2 to 3 deals. Was it per week or month? I'm sorry.
So I'm getting 2 to 3 meetings per week,
Meetings per
and
week and
meetings per week,
closing.
and so I'm getting rough
uh
like I'm getting like basically at least one deal every other week, I would say.
Awesome. Yeah,
Yeah,
with the
I think on a
25%. Yeah, that makes
yeah.
sense.
So it's probably I think my average deal is like point 0.6 per week or something like that. I want to
Makes
say.
sense. What were the most frustrating parts of managing sales before we got started? And maybe managing sales is a big term for it, but what were the most frustrating parts of sales in general before we got started?
Honestly, I was really bad at it. I didn't realize how bad I was at it until I started working with you because, like I said, I wasn't an externally facing sales rep. I was on the marketing side. All of those things are, I think it comes down to consistency, being consistent and not letting things build up because over time that it just compounds on itself if you're just being consistent, saying keeping a zero inbox and being quick when people are communicating with you because I think that also helps with your close rate. If you're in the moment messaging people, that's the beauty of LinkedIn. You can respond right away, and instead of letting something sit, I've noticed. I think in the past, anytime I either didn't follow up right away. Actually, I have a quick story. You helped me recently when I was selling to someone who was a prospect for going on podcast, and
Mhm.
I I had my first sales call with her, and then you kind of reminded me of like the process of send the video and all that. But then you kind of you had this idea where you said, okay, use a you and I think about hooks all the time when I'm selling to someone, but you don't think about like using a really emotional word or a hook word when you're like on email follow-ups. And so
Right.
I sent a email follow-up and I was like, I think the word was insane that I used. It was like it's so like to just get her to open the email or just I was like it's so insane how excited I am about this, and that I think that ended up like moving the deal along. Being really clear about what you're communicating and not overloading people is so important.
Yes.
So that helped me out a lot.
Yes. Those are
Yeah.
awesome call outs. And thinking, you're some of my favorites actually. Thinking, James, in pipeline and stages, since we've started working together, what are some improvements that you were able to make to your pipeline and your stages specifically?
Well, I made the mistake of not listening to you in the beginning because I, and I can't remember who I was talking to. It was someone else in the program. And they were like, anytime you do something that is against what Diego's recommending, it always ends up going back to bite you. And one of the things there's only probably been one or two things where I was like, oh, screw it, I'm gonna try this my own way, and I
Mhm.
wasn't for whatever reason. I didn't think every time I set up a new appointment or meeting with someone, I wasn't creating a deal. I wasn't creating a deal in my CRM until they actually told me that they were interested. But then I didn't realize that it wasn't allowing me to see my close rate because I wasn't able to
Yes.
see every meeting in there as a deal or an opportunity in my CRM. And so for a long time I didn't really know what my close rate was, and there's just stupidity on my part. So now I have everything automatically. It's automated where someone sets up in a meeting with me, it automatically creates a deal and it says like appointment
Beautiful.
scheduled or whatever. So
I
no, yeah,
love
I
that.
fixed
That's
that.
an awesome example, man. And I love it. I love it because it's one of my favorite ones. I think of a sales pipeline like a place that has cracks, and that's one of the biggest cracks, and it's at the start. So it's just like, phew, they just fall and they go nowhere.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
let me ask you, what was keeping you from setting that up at first? Like, what were you optimizing for? Was it
I
convenience? I don't
think
have the time. What was it?
yeah, it was. I think it was. I thought it was going to be a waste because I thought, I have, if my close rate is 1 out of 4 or whatever, so that means I'm going to be putting 3 deals, um, in there every week or whatever. That was like, or not every, however long the time period was. I'm putting these 3 deals in, and they were just going to be a waste to me. I was like, oh, this is a waste of my time. But that was just like I said, pure pure stupidity because you need to know which deals aren't closing and so that you can
Exactly.
track it or whatever. But I was thinking, oh, it's going to be a waste of my time. I'm only going to put a deal in there if it's actually an opportunity that someone really asked for a proposal or something like that. So it's just
Dude,
yeah.
you're talking to the converted. You know what's funny? People get shocked when they learn this about me. I hate process. Like when I tell people, they're like, "What? You built so many?" I hate them,
Yeah.
but I only do them. It's like medicine. Like I don't take medicine just popping it like Tic Tacs or
Yeah.
whatever, right? Like I take it when I need it. So same thing with process. You do it when you need it because it's actually solving a problem, and then you
Mhm.
nailed it. Like you got to know what that close rate is, and you lose more
Yeah.
money not knowing than knowing, right? You can't improve it. In fact, you will, this is counterintuitive, but you can make more money from your closed loss deals than your closed won deals, because a one deal doesn't give you any information. A one deal just tells you that this process, this one time worked good enough to get this one client. And if that client is 10, 15, 20, 30K, whatever, that's interesting.
Mhm.
But one lost deal can teach you a problem in your process that when you patch it, the compounding benefits over time of now the increase in chance of all the other deals that run through that pipe, that now you don't have that leak there,
Yeah.
ends up adding more
Exactly.
value to your business long term, so long as you make the change. And that's that example right there that you must have seen some deals going through. You're like, I don't know what to change. So now
Mhm.
that you have that accurate close rate because you're adding the deals automatically through the automation, what have you changed in your business, or what have you adjusted in your sales process given that data?
Yeah, one of the things that I'm doing is I am making sure that I'm sticking to an exact process where I'm not giving the pricing on the first call. I've noticed like that actually improves my close rate where if I'm giving them the pricing, I usually just have the first call, see what their issue is, what the pain is, and then I send a video of my process, and then I explain what set. Well, I send the video after the call, and then I explain what set up a second call where I can run through, give you an actual price quote based off your needs and everything we discussed today or whatever. And I found that is the most effective way to do it because I feel like people maybe they're getting sticker shock right away. They're not necessarily ready on that first call. So it's almost just kind of like warming them up for the second one. But
Yeah.
I feel like that's been my most effective process that I've learned.
Yeah, I love that. I love that so much, man. And I
Yeah.
couldn't agree with that more, with exactly what you've said. And I love that you're answering these things with data and not feelings, right? Feelings are awesome,
Hmm.
but they don't build you a sales pipeline. So that's amazing, James. So looking back, working together, what are one or two specific things that you think made the biggest difference in how you run your sales?
Well, one of the things that I think really helped me was the automation part from the LinkedIn standpoint. That was the first time I ever started doing that. And I what I like about the process, the way that you have it set up, is that it's automating the first contact and maybe the second or third to try to get them to write back to you. But I think that having the human element with like anytime I step in, that's really what is the most effective. But I think it's given me the at bats because there's so many times where I'm not spending time or I'm not consistently sending connection requests if I don't have if I when that's how it was when I wasn't using that first step of the automation. So basically getting the at bats, getting in front of people, that process, and then the training around what to say once they write back to you is I think just
Hmm.
number one that's been the most effective.
If you have another business owner watching us right now, James, and they're feeling like their sales is maybe a little unpredictable, their pipeline might be a little bit, messy, and they're
Mhm.
thinking about working with us, what would you say to them?
I would say run, don't walk. Is that the phrase? Just start talking to Diego. I always refer you to as many people when I'm talking to different entrepreneurs, business owners that are kind of in the same situation that I was in, which you're kind of lost. I mean, there's so many, like I said, so many solutions, so many things you can do out there. And I think you've done all the legwork to test all the different technologies for your clients. And I think it's really beautiful the way that everything just comes together and works as one solution. And it works. I mean, that's kind of what I would say about it, is like if you just give it a chance and try what Diego is teaching and go through the process, it totally works. I've worked for my business, and it's worked for all the other people in the program that I've spoken with. And yeah, I mean, I don't really know what else to say, but if you're looking for something that works, talk to Diego. Is my my lasting
Thank
advice.
you.
The ability to have confidence in myself because I have a system and a process behind my business, and the ability to turn that on and to ramp up the new business, which I'm planning on doing. Like I said, once I increase my capacity and delivery and all that, I think this system is that on button, or that sort of volume button, if I want to increase the the demand, if you will, of my business. So yeah, that's what more can you ask for, right? I mean, that's what the beauty of having a process and having a system, and being consistent. And I also think, besides the technology and the solution and the step-by-step process, having you in the coaching calls has been amazing, because I feel like, I always like to say, like, having access to you is, to me, is like having a high level, someone like a Russell Brunson, or whoever you might want to
Wow.
think of, like these big gurus out there. Because I think there's something so magical about the way that when someone asks a question in these group coaching calls, I mean, you don't hesitate. Like, I don't know where you. I know you read a lot of different books, and you know you've done all of these processes yourself, but you have such a wealth of knowledge about every lever and every way to kind of move things up and down, and I guess, like, the science behind a business or a service business. So I think that's been so cool to have access to that, and to be able to, like,
Thank you.
jump into a coaching call with you. So
Wow, man, that doesn't get lost on me. Thank you. And for anybody listening, still, I don't have any magic wands or superpowers, but I just share what I answer from experience when I can, or mention what I reference as best as I can, or say what I don't know when I don't know. But hey, man, last thing, let's learn a little bit last amount about you. Where can people find out more about you, James, what you do, about Wonderfish? Hit them with that call to action one more time.
yeah, I mean, they could go to wonderfish.xyz, take the authority score. It's a little quiz. It takes like 3 or 5 minutes. It's like 15 questions. And if you want to do that, you could set up a book a discovery call if you wanted with me. But I would say that those are my main call to action. I'm also on LinkedIn if you want to look me up, James Callistra, and yeah, wonderfish.xyz.
Anything else you want to share before we wrap up?
I would just say, maybe one of these days I could come out to Utah, and you could fly me in your plane, and that would be pretty fun one of these
That'd be
days.
awesome, man. It'd bring everything full circle, man. Well, hey, man,
Yeah.
it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you, James.
All right, Diego, thank you.